Hi everyone, my name is Amrita Kosanam and I am a junior at Tompkins High School in Texas. Today I am going to be talking about a relevant topic due to the current COVID-19 pandemic. When you think of being tested for COVID-19, the typical method to confirm whether a person is infected with COVID is through individual testing, where each person is tested individually and one test kit is used for each person. When there are limited resources, there are more efficient methods where groups of people can be tested at the same time, all while using much less tests than would be needed if they were to be tested individually. These methods are known as group testing methods. Group testing is any method that can be used to test groups of people at the same time, rather than testing them individually. It is an efficient way to use less tests and confirm whether more people test positive or negative for something. In the context of COVID-19 and other diseases, group testing is a great way to test large groups of people without wasting too many tests. Today, I'm going to demonstrate how group testing works using a simple experiment. Before I start, I would like to thank Dr. Krishna Narayanan from A&M University for getting me involved on this project and providing me with the opportunity to learn about and show different group testing methods. I would also like to thank Dr. Sangeeta Kare and Dr. Gokulan Kuppan for providing their help with the concept and the project as well. The first group testing procedure that was created was done by Robert Dorfman in 1943 to confirm whether potential World War II soldiers tested positive or negative for syphilis. What Dorfman did is he grouped all of these people into smaller groups called pools. Then from each pool he took a representative sample. This means that he combined the samples of all of the people within a pool to just create one sample for that pool. If each of Dorfman's pools had 10 people, this means he could test 10 people using only one test. However, he couldn't stop there. Some people would test positive, meaning that their entire pool would be labeled as positive. Dorfman would then individually test people in pools labeled as positive to confirm whether they were positive or negative for syphilis. If a pool was identified as negative, then no further testing was performed for that pool. In this experiment today, I'll be testing 16 samples. I'll be using glucose to represent an infected or positive sample, and just plain water to represent a negative sample. I'll group these samples into 4 pools with 4 samples in each pool. One sample in this experiment will be positive, and that sample will be made of a solution of water and glucose powder. The other samples will all just be plain water to act as non-infected. Here I filled up 15 test tubes with the plain water, and one is filled with the glucose solution, which is test tube number 7 over here. Like I said before, 4 samples will be in each pool. Test tubes 1 through 4 will be in pool 1, 5 through 8 in pool 2, and so on. Test tubes 17 through 20 over here will contain the 4 representative samples, one from each pool. I'm taking 1 ml of solution from each sample to put into the pool representative samples. After all of the pool samples are ready, we can use the glucose strips to act as the test. So now I'm going to be creating the representative samples from each pool. In test tube number 17 here, I'm going to be taking 1 ml of each sample from 1 through 4 and putting it in this test tube. I'm going to be doing this for the rest of the samples. For test tube number 18, which has the pooled sample 2, I'm going to be taking samples 5 through 8. So all of the representative samples are ready, and we can now test them using the glucose test strips I have here. I'm going to take 4 test strips and I'm going to test them for 3 minutes. The original test strip is yellow, as you can see, and if the sample has no concentration of glucose in it, then it will stay yellow. However, it can turn shades of green, dark, depending on the concentration of glucose. So I have the test strips labeled by the representative test tube number. First going to go and test representative sample 17. I've dipped the sample. Now I'm going to start the timer. This is the 3-minute timer. So the time has run out, and now we can see that 3 of the testing samples stayed yellow, while 1 of them is dark green now. And you can see here that based on the concentration of the glucose, the test sample will get darker and darker. Here, the test sample is pretty dark, so it shows that the concentration of glucose is a lot. And in these, they're all still yellow, which means the concentration is 0. So now we can draw a conclusion. Pooled sample 2, in which the infected sample 7, 1, and 2 is positive. So in this method, we needed 8 tests total. We needed 4 for each representative sample, and then for the one pooled sample that turned out positive, we had to individually test those samples, so we needed another 4. So this has 16 people. We only needed 8 test kits. So that kind of tells you that group testing uses less test kits and is able to test more people at once.